Welcome to X-Ray, and welcome to our first case, Pikangikum TR3B. Pikangikum is a reservation in northwestern Ontario in Canada, and the TR3B is an alleged triangular anti-gravity craft in use by the United States government. Thanks go to Secure Team for posting the images on Imagery and creating the original video. If you'd like to view the original video by Secure Team or to download the images we're going to be looking at, look for the links in the description. So, my initial impression with these images is that whatever this kind of black shape is in the sky was indeed there when the photo was taken. So that is to say, it wasn't added later in Photoshop or anything like that. It just doesn't really have that appearance. Sometimes you can tell if something's been added by going through the various color channels independently. So, for instance, we're looking at the red channel, the green channel, and then the blue channel. And if one of those doesn't really seem to fit, it might kind of tip you off that this thing has been added after the fact. But, if we look at these separate channels, it seems to change with the rest of the image, right? It's kind of darker in the blue channel and it's kind of lighter in the green channel. And the jump in value is the same as, say, these trees in the background here. So once again, it looks like it was actually it was actually at this location. It wasn't added later in Photoshop. Now, how are we going to determine what this thing is? Well, luckily for us, we have two separate angles, so we can kind of jump back and forth between the two. Let's quickly come in here and let's just take each one of these. Whoops. And let's expand it out a little bit. So what I'm doing is basically taking each one of these frames and then I'm expanding it to be 4 frames. So now, if we come in here and we hit play, we can kind of see them back and forth. And you've maybe seen some animated GIFs like this where you kind of get a sense of depth because you can jump back and forth between two different angles. And I think for this image, this is actually the smoking gun, right? Because we can see the way that this anomaly is moving. And we also see these specks of dust or whatever it is on the windshield, and they're moving in tandem with it, right? Especially this one really close by is moving exactly the same. So, either this is something on the windshield or all of these have to be flying crafts, right? They wouldn't have the same motion. And in fact, if we look over here, there's this drop of water that's on the windshield, right? And we know it's on the windshield because we can see the tree through it. It's not flying in the air behind the tree or something like that. And it's also moving in tandem with this shape. So this one seems actually pretty cut and dry. It is indeed something on the windshield. Now, I know the person who took the images said that, the next day he went and he looked and there was nothing on the windshield. However, that doesn't mean that there wasn't something there when the image was taken. Maybe it kind of blew off when he was driving. So, one of the peculiarities with this image was the light that comes on. Let me just stop this real quick. So you'll notice in the second image, there seems to be this light that appears, and that is really kind of peculiar. Something I noticed when we were jumping back and forth between the two. Not sure if you see it, but this light over here is also appearing and disappearing with the light on that black shape. Now, I don't think I could say exactly what that is, but I do kind of have a theory here. So you'll notice in this second image, everything gets a bit... Whoops, wrong way. You'll notice that everything gets a little bit brighter and it kind of gets a green cast to it. And this is something that can happen when you use a flash on a camera. So my theory is In the second image, the flash went off, and then what we're seeing here is actually a reflection of the red eye reduction on the camera, right? So when you take a picture with a flash, the little red light shows up to try to reduce red eye in people, and I think that's what we're seeing reflected in the windshield. It, just so happens to be right in front of whatever the black shape on the windshield is, and I think this is probably also the same thing, right? It's just a red eye reduction reflection in the window. So that's my take on it. I think we can safely say that this is not in the sky. It's not a craft. It's actually something stuck to the windshield. Once again, if I play this, you can see that it moves precisely with these other objects. So, case closed.